Hi there, here to do a tribute to Richard Moll. Now, Richard Moll was probably best known for Night Court, and not a show I've seen, but I felt like still wanting to do a tribute to him based off what I know him from. I know him as Two-Face in Batman the Animated Series, and Richard Moll was the first actor to play Two-Face. The only, unless you want to count Billy D. Williams, who did play Harvey Dent in the Tim Burton Batman movie. Unfortunately, they didn't end up having him become Two-Face, but so I guess he's the Richard Moll, the second Harvey Dent, but definitely the first Two-Face we ever gotten. He wasn't supposed to be in the '60s show, but it never ended up happening, and he never appeared in the Filmation cartoons or Super Friends or anything like that. So Batman the Animated Series is kind of our first real look at Two-Face, of course, outside of comics and stuff like that. And, when it comes to Batman the Animated Series, voice acting performances, you'll often hear, Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill be brought up, especially when it comes to the villains. You hear Mark Hamill's Joker over and over again, but there were a lot of really good casting choices for the villains, like David Warner as Ra's al Ghul, Roddy McDowall as the Mad Hatter, Henry Pollock and Jeffrey Combs as the Scarecrow, and Richard Moll as Two-Face. And Richard Moll as Two-Face performance was really, really good. And Two-Face, it is a role that kind of does require a lot of duality. Harvey Dent and Two-Face are, the same but also different. It does require two very different kinds of performances, and Richard Moll did a great job of making them sound very distinct. As Harvey Dent, sort of smooth, confident, well-meaning guy who's going through some really hard times but means well. And then as Two-Face, this more sinister, gruff, threatening side. And Richard Moll did a fantastic job, and he really captured the two very different sides and personalities of Two-Face. Two-Face, one of the more well-written villains in the series. His introduction, they do show him as Harvey Dent a couple times, but his first time as Two-Face, fittingly enough, a two-parter. It's one of the better episodes of the series. It's really emotional. This really good story of Harvey Dent struggling to contain this other side, and like Rupert Thorne kind of bringing it out of him, Batman and Harvey Dent's love interest Grace, they're trying to help him, but that Two-Face persona starts to take over, and it's a really emotional stuff because Batman and Harvey Dent had a friendship, but Bruce Wayne and Harvey Dent actually had a friendship. Bruce Wayne considered Harvey Dent a good friend, and somebody he enjoyed socializing with, not just socializing because he has to socialize with people as Bruce Wayne, be this popular playboy. He enjoyed Harvey Dent's company. It was hard for him to, he tried as Batman to save Harvey Dent, but then he became this villain, and so now Batman has to fight his friend, and so it's really good, compelling drama, and Richard Moll did a really good job of capturing that, and a really interesting take on Two-Face. And Two-Face was one of the bigger villains in the show, appeared in a lot of episodes. Richard Moll, voiced Harvey Dent and Two-Face in his appearances in that show, and the follow-up, The New Batman Adventures. It was also the voice of the Bat-Computer. In some episodes, the Bat-Computer did talk, and it was Richard Moll, and again, it was a different voice, didn't just, it'd be really weird if the Bat-Computer sounded like Two-Face, but he made it sound like distinct too, and did a good job there. And he did return to Batman years later, guest starred in one of the most popular episodes of Batman the Brave and the Bold, Chill of the Night, where he voiced Lou Moxon, who was the guy who hired Joe Chill to shoot Thomas Wayne, of course, leading to Batman's origin. So he appeared in that episode. It's a really cool appearance. That episode has a lot of guest stars, including Adam West, Julie Newmar, Kevin Conroy, and Mark Hamill, but also Richard Moll, so that was really cool. So, Richard Moll, very, very good as Two-Face, did a really good job. Really liked his take on the character. One of the better adaptations of Two-Face. Two-Face is a character that does appear a lot, so, well, but the animated series and that Richard Moll take on Two-Face helped a lot, because, like I said, Two-Face has been a big villain, in the comics for a long time, but not so much before then, hadn't appeared in the 60s show or the early cartoons, but after the animated series, he started appearing in live action movies and lots of TV shows, so this take really helped, and Richard Moll did an excellent job, so he was really good as Two-Face, really did a great job as the character, and a very distinct take on a very classic villain that's very influential and important to the history of the character. So if you have memories of Richard Moll's Two-Face or any of his other roles, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments.